Let's dive deep into Stoicism today with The Practicing Stoic by Ward Farnsworth. This book, let me tell you, it's full of wisdom, like surprisingly relevant stuff for us today.
Yeah, it's amazing how timeless these ideas are.
Right. So Stoicism, it might sound kind of, I don't know, heavy.
Yeah.
But really it's about mastering your emotions, not like suppressing them.
Right, not about ignoring them.
But like understanding them and choosing how you react to all the curveballs, you know?
Exactly. It's about developing that toolkit for navigating those challenges with, well, more resilience, even maybe a sense of tranquility.
Okay, so one of the things that really hit me while I was reading was this idea. We react not to the actual events, but to our judgments about them. Like, think about it. Same traffic jam.
Oh, yeah.
One person's losing their mind. The other person's like, podcast time. And they're using it productively.
It's so true. And the Stoics, even back then, they understood how much our thoughts impact our emotions. They weren't just, philosophers up in their ivory tower. They were developing techniques to manage those reactions.
Almost like early cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah, exactly. Practical, like a psychological approach to feeling better.
Yeah. And one of their most powerful tools, this idea of focusing on what you can control. Epictetus has this great metaphor, the sea voyage.
Oh, yeah, the sea voyage.
So you plan your trip, you pick the best ship, stock up on all the good stuff. But then once you're out there, a storm hits.
You can't control the weather.
Nope. You can control how you react, how you steer the ship, how you keep everyone calm.
And that's where the real strength comes in. Not denying the storm, but realizing your energy's best spent on what you can influence, your actions, your attitude.
So like think about a stressful project at work. Deadline's coming up, the client keeps changing their mind. Easy to feel totally overwhelmed.
Absolutely. But the Stoic approach would be, okay, what parts of this are in my control? Can I manage my time better? Communicate more clearly with the client? Get some help from my coworkers? Shifting the focus to those actionable things. That's how we regain a sense of control, even when everything feels chaotic.
It's so powerful because it's not about pretending there aren't problems.
Right.
It's about finding that inner control, that space where you can actually make a difference.
And I think Epictetus's analogy of life as a game, it's so insightful here.
Oh yeah, with skill and chance.
Yeah. You can't control the roll of the dice, those random things life throws at you, but you can play the game skillfully with integrity, no matter what the outcome is.
Like that quote, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change.
Ah, yes.
The courage to change the things I can and the wisdom to know the difference. It's about that inner sphere of influence,
Absolutely. And speaking of wisdom, that leads us to another big Stoic concept. The power of perspective. They often use really vivid examples to show how our first reactions can be way out of proportion to what's actually happening.
Like that example in the book about finding spiders in the bathtub.
Oh, yeah.
Logically, we know they're harmless.
Well, most of them.
Haha, right. But we still freak out. Stoicism is about closing that gap between what we know and how we react.
It's about recognizing those times when our emotions are kind of hijacking our rational mind. And Montaigne, he was really into Stoicism. He said, if evils only impact us through our judgments, we have the power to reject them or convert them to positives.
Wow.
Radical, right?
Yeah. But also kind of empowering.
Incredibly empowering.
So instead of seeing that traffic jam as a total waste of time,
right?
What if it's bonus time for a podcast, a chance to be mindful, or just a few minutes of peace?
Exactly. Reframing those everyday annoyances as opportunities for growth, or at least a shift in perspective.
I like that.
Think about it. We waste so much energy complaining about stuff we can't change. What if we use that energy for something better?
It's a mental challenge, for sure, but with potentially big rewards.
Absolutely. And it connects directly to another core principle, taming those unnatural desires that lead us down a path of, frustration.
Right. The book talks about this difference between natural desires, like being hungry or thirsty, and the ones that are more fueled by society, like chasing status, wealth, the perfect Instagram life.
Oh, absolutely. And Seneca, he was sharp about this. He pointed out that fulfilling these unnatural desires is like running on a treadmill. You satisfy one, another one pops up. Never-ending cycle.
Always wanting more.
Yeah, leaves you feeling unsatisfied.
It's like comparison is the thief of joy.
That's it. We get so caught up wanting what others have or achieving some external thing that we lose sight of what truly matters.
And that's where the Stoics come in with
contentment.
Yeah.
Not complacency, but finding satisfaction in what is, regardless of external stuff.
But how do we actually do that? Cultivate that contentment when we're constantly told we need more.
That's where the Stoics get practical. Techniques, mental exercises for training the mind. They knew changing your thinking, your reactions, it takes effort, like building physical strength.
So it's not just about reading about Stoicism.
Nope. It's about actually doing it, putting these ideas into practice. It's about building that mental muscle, and one of the best ways is setting goals, not just like be happier.
Yeah, vague stuff.
Right, but specific, actionable goals, like reduce my anger outbursts or practice gratitude for 5 minutes every day.
I love that. It's like approaching personal growth with the same kind of, intentionality focus that you'd bring to a fitness plan or learning a new skill.
Exactly. And just like training, consistency is key. Epictetus actually says to start small.
Okay.
Maybe try going 1 day without giving in to anger, then 2 days.
Yeah.
And build up from there. It's about gradually building that mental muscle.
That makes so much sense. You wouldn't just like run a marathon without training.
Right.
So start small, track your progress. What else can we do to really live these Stoic principles, not just read about them?
Well, the Stoics were all about reflection, especially nightly reflection. Taking a few minutes before bed to review your day from a Stoic perspective. What challenges did I face? How did I respond? What could I have done differently? It's not about beating yourself up, but more like cultivating self-awareness.
Yeah.
Seeing those patterns of thinking and reacting that might not be helping you.
It's easy to just go through life on autopilot, reacting without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
The nightly reflection, it's like hitting pause and saying, hold on, how did I handle that?
Exactly. And the more you do that, the more you start to notice those little moments where you actually have a choice. A choice to react with anger or patience, to dwell on the bad stuff, or focus on the good.
It's like you're bringing those automatic responses into the light, the ones you might not even be aware of. Are there any other techniques for that kind of awareness?
Well, Seneca has this interesting one. He says to try and see your actions from an outside perspective. Imagine someone you really admire, a mentor, a historical figure watching you.
Okay.
How would they judge your behavior?
That's brilliant. It's like having an imaginary accountability partner.
Right.
Like if I knew Nelson Mandela was watching how I dealt with a frustrating situation, I'd probably try my best to be graceful, composed.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be a specific person. It could be your ideal self, the person you aspire to be. Using that imagined observer, it can help you raise your own standards.
Like tapping into your own inner wisdom.
Exactly. So we've got goal setting, reflection, this perspective taking. The Stoics also emphasized what they called natural desires.
Okay.
The basic stuff, food, shelter, connection. They weren't against pleasure, comfort, but they were cautious about getting too attached to external things, letting your happiness depend on, possessions, stuff like that.
Makes sense. We all know how fleeting those things are. A new car, sure, it's exciting at first, but that feeling fades.
It always does.
Yeah.
The Stoics weren't saying to live a life of deprivation.
Right.
More like mindful appreciation for what you have, not getting hung up on things outside of your control.
Finding that balance between enjoying the good things, but not needing them to be happy.
Precisely. And that leads to another important Stoic concept, transience. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, big Stoic guy, he wrote a lot about how everything's always changing, our possessions, relationships, even our bodies.
It's kind of humbling, right? To really grasp that everything's impermanent. But I can see how that could be liberating too.
Absolutely. If we're holding on to anger about something in the past or stressing about the future, we're clinging to something that's already gone or might never even happen. The Stoics encourage us to focus on now, the present moment.
Where we actually have some power.
Exactly. Like that saying, worrying is like paying interest on a debt you might never owe.
Waste of energy.
Totally. Montaigne, remember him? He compares humans to those little creatures that only live for a day.
Okay, yeah.
To them, their lifespan feels like forever. To us, it's nothing.
It does put things in perspective.
Right. He's saying we humans do the same thing. We get caught up in how long or short our lives are. But ultimately, that difference is tiny. What matters is how we live them.
Wow. Humbling, but also, like you said, empowering. Knowing we have a choice in how we approach each moment.
And that choice, that's at the heart of Stoicism. It's not about becoming some emotionless robot.
Right.
It's about learning to handle the ups and downs with wisdom, resilience, and a sense of inner peace.
Yeah, it's about recognizing we have more control over like our inner world than we think. We can't always choose what happens to us,
but we can choose how we respond. That's what's so cool about Stoicism.
Yeah.
It's not about running away from tough stuff, but learning to deal with it, with grace, wisdom, finding that strength inside that helps you face those challenges.
So we're wrapping up our deep dive into Stoicism. Let's recap some key takeaways that you can actually use, like right now.
Okay, good idea. First thing, remember, it's not the events that cause the distress. It's our judgments about them. We can reframe those judgments, choose a more empowering view.
That's huge. And then building on that, focus on what you can control, your actions, your reactions, your attitude, and let go of what you can't, like other people's opinions or those random things that life throws at you.
Right. Focus on playing the game well, with integrity, no matter what happens. And you don't got to do it all at once. Start small, pick one area where you want to be more stoic, set a clear goal, and track your progress.
Baby steps. It's like building any new habit.
Exactly. Consistency and, being kind to yourself, that's key. And don't forget reflection. Take a few minutes every day to look back on your experiences, but through a stoic lens. Like, what were the challenges? How did I react? What can I learn from this?
Simple, but powerful.
Yeah, really powerful.
And as we go through those challenges, remembering that Stoic idea of transience, everything's in flux. Holding on to anger, resentment, worry, it's like trying to hold on to a wave that's already crashed.
Such a good image. Embrace the present moment. That's where you have the power to act.
Makes sense.
And lastly, remember, Stoicism isn't about turning off your emotions.
Yeah, not becoming a robot.
It's about using your mind to find inner peace, even when life gets crazy.
Finding that calm in the middle of the storm. And if you want to really explore Stoicism, learn more about it, I highly recommend picking up The Practicing Stoic.
Great book.
Yeah, by Farnsworth.
Wow.
It's full of practical advice and, like timeless wisdom, helps you navigate all the complexities of life with more clarity, courage, and resilience. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep exploring.